Call to order the Plan Commission Thursday, October 19th, 2023, 6 p.m. Mayor, would you please take the roll?
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor Nelson?
Here.
Commissioner Hogan?
Here.
Commissioner Haley?
Here.
Assistant City Engineer Tyler Beinlich?
Here.
Alderwoman Day?
Here.
Commissioner Leon?
Here. Excellent. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Excellent. Moving on to item B, approval of the minutes. Approval of the regular meeting minutes of October 5th, 2023. Do I have a motion?
Move approval. Second.
We have a first and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all is in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. C, public hearing business matters. Number 1, Marion?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to read the public hearing, but the presentation will be done by Nick Johnson of MD Roffers and Associates, who is the planner contractor who has evaluated this application. The City of Franklin Plan Commission will hold a public hearing on Thursday, October 19th, 2023 at 6 o'clock p.m. in the Common Council Chambers at Franklin City Hall, 9229 West Loomis Road, Franklin, Wisconsin, 53132, to take public comments regarding a request by Steve Wamser and L. Anastasia, property owners, for property located at 7481 South Cambridge Drive. The request is for, per section 15-10-0209, area exceptions. Area exceptions may be granted to increase the maximum lot coverage by no more than 20%. Section 15-10-0209G of the UDO specifically lists standards to be reviewed to grant or deny this area exception, which Plan Commission and Board of Zoning and Building Appeals will use to consider the request. The application request is an area exception to allow for a lot coverage of 16.68% or 4,276 square feet for the installation of a deck exceeding the R3E maximum lot coverage standard of 15%, or 3,844 square feet. The area of the subject property is 25,629 square feet. The dwelling, porch, and attached garage cover approximately 3,844 square feet, and the proposed deck would be 433.1 square feet. A map showing the property affected, full legal description on the application, and all supporting materials are available for review and may be obtained from Franklin City Hall by request to the Department of City Development in Franklin City Hall, 9229 West Loomis Road, during normal business hours. The public hearing is being held pursuant to the requirements of State Statute 62.237E of the Wisconsin Statutes and Division 15-10-0206 of the City of Franklin UDO. The legal description of the subject property and variance request are available for open inspection by the public in the Office of the Department of City Development at Franklin City Hall, etc.
Thank you. And now we having the applicant come forward and I see. I'll tell you what, this is a little more informal than our normal council meetings. If you'd like to have a seat at this.
Oh, I thought you said come forward, sorry.
Well, yeah, come forward a little more. Right here.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah, right there, sir. And we'll just, if you just want to pull that microphone in a little bit and just state your name and address for the record, please.
Steve Wamser, my address is 8724 West Cascade Drive, Franklin, Wisconsin.
Thank you. And what would you like to say about the project?
I submitted an application to add a deck. We're currently building the house. It's under construction in a new neighborhood. There was 16 lots in the new neighborhood. 5 of the lots have full exposures and allow for a deck on the back of the house. I provided pictures. We're kind of the last house being built. I provided pictures. The other 4 lots or homes that have full exposure also have decks. So Our lot just happens to be the smallest lot in the neighborhood, so I had to ask for the area exception to get my deck approved. So that's just what I was looking for, is to build a deck on top of the covered patio on the back of the house.
Okay, thank you. We'll entertain any comments, questions from commission?
Public hearing.
Okay, so we're gonna,
Nick, do you have a presentation you wanted to make?
yeah.
I do. Can you all hear me?
Yep.
Okay, great. Yeah, so again, my name's Nick Johnson. I'm a planner and project manager with MD Roffers Consulting. So just a little bit of brief background. I think Marion provided it, but just to reiterate, the city hired our company about a month ago or so to assist the city's planning department in reviewing some existing applications out there and helping with some other planning related work. So this is my first plan commission meeting with you all. Likely the first of a few more before our work with the city ends, as our work is temporary, really projected to last over the next couple of months or so. So you all should have the staff report that was included in tonight's packet, prepared by the city planning department staff and the consultant as well, outlining this WAMSR area exception. So this is the first slide of my presentation. So this shows the property in question, located in the northwestern part of the city of Franklin at 7481 South Cambridge Drive, south of the Warwick Way and Cambridge Drive intersection. And the property is zoned R3E. Marion, if you want to go to the next slide.
Maybe.
There we go. So this slide shows the proposed deck here, located on the western face of the residence. Yep, right there. And then, Marion, if you want to go to the next slide. This third slide shows the proposed deck from the rear elevation of the residence. You can see it's kind of in the bottom center of the screen there, with kind of that bubble wrapped around it, showing the exact location of the deck. Marion, if you want to go to the fourth slide. So this shows a photo from a site visit performed a couple of months ago, along with a bunch of text, which is basically outlining the maximum lot coverage calculation. So UDO table 15.3.0204, the maximum lot coverage is 15% in the R3E suburban estate single family resident district, where this property is located. The lot coverage of the dwelling, attached garage, and porch does hit this 15% maximum lot coverage threshold. It's just under that at 14.99%. The proposed deck would be 433 square feet, resulting in a lot coverage of 16.68%. So with an approval of the area exception by the Plan Commission and then by the BZBA, the maximum lot coverage could be increased up to 20% over the maximum permitted lot coverage. So that would result in a total maximum permitted lot coverage of 18% here. So this area exception is just to bring it up to 16.68. That request falls within this allowable increase if that area exception is granted. So the report essentially shows at the top, as well as the very end of the report, that city staff and the consultant recommend approval of this area exception request to increase the lot coverage to 16.68%, while the maximum lot coverage permitted as of right is 15%. And that concludes the presentation I prepared for this.
You or me?
The public hearing can start if you want.
Right. Okay, thank you. So moving forward now, we will open up a public hearing. Anybody wishing to speak on this, please approach the podium, state your name and address for the record. We'll open it at this time. See nobody approaching, we'll close public hearing. Comment on this. Now opening up to members, Mr. Leone.
Just noted that we have 3 letters of support from neighbors. See some photos here of neighboring properties, so this seems pretty straightforward. And I guess these are in the record already since they were printed for us. So sounds like a good plan. We should go forward with it.
Anyone else before we entertain a motion? Marion, would you please read the motion?
A motion to recommend approval of an application for an area exception to allow for a maximum lot coverage of 16.68%, 4,276 square feet, exceeding the maximum lot coverage standard of 15% in the R3E Suburban Estate Single Family Residence District to allow for the installation of a deck for property located at 7481 South Cambridge Drive.
So moved.
Second.
We've got a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you. Thank you.
Going on to number 2.
One second while I organize.
Oh, I thought she was going to read the number 2. Okay, number 2 on the public hearing, Karma rezoning. Request for approval of an ordinance to allow for rezoning of property located at 9410 South 76th Street. I appear that to be the tax key number 884-999-7000, currently zoned R8, multiple family residence district, and B as in boy 3, community business district, and 7520 West Ryan Road, tax key number 884-999-8000, currently zone B3, community business district, contingent upon approval of the related certified survey map, item D1 on this agenda, future lot 1, currently part of 9410 South 76th Street, is requested to be rezoned to M1, Limited Industrial District, and future Lot 2, currently part of 9410 South 76th Street, and future Lot 3, currently part of 9410 South 76th Street, and 7520 West Ryan Road, are requested to be rezoned to B3, Community Business District.
Thank you, Mayor. I will read the public hearing notice for this item. The City of Franklin Plan Commission will hold a public hearing on Thursday, October 19th, 2023 at 6:00 p.m. in the Common Council Chambers at Franklin City Hall, 9229 West Loomis Road, Franklin, Wisconsin, 53132, to take public comment regarding a request by Alex Schler, Karma Laboratories, Inc. Karma Laboratories is the property owner, for property located at 9410 South 76th Street and 7520 West Ryan Road, currently zoned R8 Multifamily Residence District and B3 Community Business Residence District. The request is for an approval of an ordinance to amend the Unified Development Ordinance zoning map to rezone certain parcels of land from R8 Multifamily Residence District and B3 Community Business District to M1 Limited Industrial District and B3 Community Business District. A map showing the property affected, full legal description, and the application and all supporting materials are available for review and may be obtained from Franklin City Council by way of request to the Department of City Development at Franklin City Hall, 9229 West Loomis Road, Franklin. This public hearing is being held pursuant to the requirements of State Statute 62.237D2 of the Wisconsin Statutes and Division 15-9-0200 of the City of Franklin Unified Development Ordinance. A copy of the proposed ordinance in draft form is available and open for inspection by the public at the office of the city clerk at Franklin City Hall, 9229 West Loomis Road, etc., during normal business hours. The public is invited to attend the public hearing and to provide input. The proposed amendment is subject to revisions following public hearing and further consideration by the Plan Commission and the City of Franklin Common Council. And so briefly with regard to this item, the public hearing notices for the item were published and appropriately mailed. However, the agenda for this evening's meeting did not contain the necessary information to hear the item on the agenda. So I believe the proposal is to continue the public hearing to the next meeting, and the city attorney will clarify what is required. And you'll need your mic on.
Mr. City Attorney, when your mic is on.
All the ongoing work, I did not look at the agenda until early this morning. And I saw that the published agenda for this particular item only stated Karma rezoning request for approval of a rezoning application to. So that didn't sufficiently apprise the public. I did the statutory and attorney general opinion, quick open meetings research. I thought about all the standards here, reviewed the public hearing notices and the information contained therein. I confirmed with planning department that in addition to the published public hearing notice for this item, there were 28 notices United States mailed to area property owners with regard to the public hearing, and that in today's world, the electronic communication world, if someone wants to look at a plan commission agenda, then they look on the City of Franklin website, and the website has the entire meeting agenda packet and all the detailed information with regard to this subject matter pertaining to the rezoning of the properties is included in that agenda packet. All those things considered and the requirements of the Wisconsin Open Meetings Law to reasonably apprise the public of the subject matter of the item, my thought was it's already been noticed and published and U.S. mailed, as well as being posted on the city website with that short language on the actual agenda itself. Nonetheless, thought was to proceed with the item this evening and open the public hearing for public comment, but then when there's no further persons wishing to provide a comment at the public hearing, to continue that public hearing and this item to a special plan commission meeting, which I suggested next Tuesday. And then the agenda would be written with the more specific description of the subject matter of this rezoning application. And I made a phone call to the League of Wisconsin Municipalities legal counsel, left a voicemail. First, I called the Assistant Attorney General who handles all the open meetings law questions and regulations in the state of Wisconsin, left him a voicemail. And then I put my thoughts down in writing in an email and emailed each of them. Got a phone call back from league counsel, who actually was participating in the annual League of Wisconsin Municipalities annual conference in Green Bay, but nonetheless took the time to review what I had sent her. And she agreed that this was the best method to fix it. And then I received an email this afternoon response from the Assistant Attorney General, Paul Ferguson, who said he's been very busy today and he's leaving for a meeting, but he reviewed what I sent him, and he said, it appears that you've come up with a solution. Got any further questions, let me know. I'll be available late today. So that's the recommended plan. Proceed with the public hearing. And hopefully there's a quorum available for Tuesday. If not Tuesday, it would have to be some other day next week. And then the public hearing would be continued and another agenda posted for the continuing meeting. Action would be taken contingent on potential approval of a rezoning on all the other Karma-related items on the agenda at this evening's meeting.
Okay, so in a nutshell, we're gonna not have this, but we're gonna continue with the other ones. Is that correct or
No,
not correct?
We're doing, or the commission is doing this Karma rezoning item.
Okay, I appreciate what you're saying, but I mean, so we're gonna keep doing this, but we're still gonna bring it back next Tuesday for a special meeting at 6 o'clock. Everybody can make it, or if a quorum can make it?
Correct. You continue the public hearing. You can't take action on it.
Got it. Thank you, Counselor. Mr. Leon?
So I saw Ms. Olson's email asking about quorum for Tuesday. I can only speak for myself, but I am not available on Tuesday evening, so I don't know if we would have quorum that night.
Available.
I can make 5.
I can-
2, Kevin?
I'll make 5, I guess. I don't
Engineering.
have my
5?
calendar here.
Yeah, what, Glenn or I'll make it, yeah.
That's
What's
quorum.
the date?
24th.
So Mayor Nelson, Commissioner Haley, Engineering, and Commissioner Hogan are available, but not Commissioner Leon.
I can make it.
Okay,
And I am not, as it stands now, and I'm not available earlier either.
thank you. I appreciate the commission's flexibility with this error.
So that'll show us that we do have a quorum.
Mhm.
Excellent. For 5 o'clock next Tuesday.
5 o'clock.
Good? So at this point, we can move forward and we can have the applicant speak first and we go with the public hearing?
Yes, so my understanding is that the discussion of the rezoning would not be possible, so I do not have material slides prepared for this, discussing the future land use, et cetera. But we also have the public hearing for the special use. My recommended order for those items would actually be the CSM, then the special use and site plan. So,
That separate item,
correct.
right? Like the applicant up to, they want to do a
All right,
presentation.
if the applicant's here, would like to come up to the front of the table here, this front table. Welcome, good evening.
Mayor,
Sir.
to make sure I understand the sequence, we're going to move to business item D1, which is the CSM, and then site plan D2.
Special use.
Okay, so D1, no public comment, or no, not a public hearing, then C3, which is public, and then back to D2, which is business again.
Just no.
I need some clarification on this too, because this is getting a little out of hand.
Well,
Mr. City Attorney,
it's on the agenda.
well, it's not in the order.
Public hearing with regard to the rezoning.
Okay.
The next item is a public hearing with regard to the special use. And then proceed to the certified survey map and site plan.
Okay. Do we need to open this public hearing? It has not been
Yes.
opened yet.
Should have known.
My understanding is correct.
Can you put this up here?
My understanding.
Is this on? My understanding is that we're going to run through the normal agenda, and item 2 will not be voted on. It will be voted on Tuesday at 5 p.m. However, we will be voting, or you'll be voting on 3 and the remainders contingent upon number 2 being passed on Tuesday. Is that correct?
Yes,
Thank you.
So we should open this public hearing,
yes.
continue it, and then proceed to the special use public hearing.
Correct.
Okay. So,
Before we do that, I have another question.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm just letting Marion finish her thought.
Thank you.
so opening the rezoning, do we let the applicant present before that, or would we defer to the special use?
Now,
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Leon.
I believe I heard Ms. X say that you're not prepared for a presentation on C2. Is that correct?
I am not. The applicant is prepared.
So the applicant will prepare, and we just won't have the staff portion of it. for
Yeah,
C2.
because
Okay.
it was not noticed, I am not in a position to discuss the item.
Understood.
Thank you for clarifying.
Mr. Haley? Oh, I saw the pen up. I thought that was the universal sign. Okay, sir, good evening. Could you state your name and address of Karma for the record, please?
Good evening. I am, is this on?
It's got to be closer. a
I
little.
need to be closer? Okay.
There we go.
Yep.
Outstanding. I'm Alex Scheller. I'm representing Karma Laboratories. My address or Karma's address?
Karma.
5801 West Airways Avenue in Franklin, Wisconsin. Thank you also for your flexibility in dealing with these matters. It's greatly appreciated. So I'm the executive representative for the project. After me will come Matt Mano from SPS, our architect firm, to give a little more context. I wanted to provide a bit of an overview, although Carmex is a very known brand in the industry. We are the makers of Carmex lip balm products that are distributed throughout the U.S. We're number 3 in market share and distributed throughout the world. We're in over 65 countries throughout the world, and that Carmex is made here in Franklin, Wisconsin. Our founder, Alfred Welbing, our current owner's grandfather, started the company during the Great Depression selling Carmex from the trunk of his car. And since the 1970s, we've had a presence in Franklin. So our roots go pretty deep for a long time in the Franklin community, and we're proud to be here and excited to be proposing this particular project to you tonight. So we also have 300 Karma associates that visit the facility at various times, manufacturing associates, warehousing associates. We have office associates spread between first and second shift. All of those individuals are engaged in the community often in a variety of different ways. Our proposed project is 225,000 square feet of total site that we're building our world headquarters on the 42-acre parcel at the northeast corner of West Ryan Road and South 76th Street. So we'll be at the north end of that 42-acre parcel. You know, we really looked at this site. We saw the opportunity to have our headquarters here, remain in Franklin, Wisconsin, continue to participate in the community. That was our strong desire and continues to be, but also have a site that has green space opportunity around it. And even though we are a very practical manufacturing and distribution company, this is also our corporate headquarters. So we did have a consideration for prominent views of the site from Ryan Road. And this site works very well for all of that. So those are my opening comments, unless you have additional questions. My final bullet point is, once again, thank you for accommodating this tonight and next Tuesday. And I very much appreciate all the collaboration with everyone in this room that has gotten us this far. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Did you say you wanted to bring up somebody from your team?
I do, Matt, please.
Good evening, sir. If you just would state your name for the record and if you're with an organization, the organization address.
Yeah, Matt Mano, SPS Architects, 215 North Water Street. We're the architect for the project. So just adding to what Alex had said, we've got some prepared stuff that we want to walk through, I think, when we get to the point where we start talking through the conditional use and stuff like that from a zoning perspective. Just looking for, more input from the city as it relates to the zoning changes next Tuesday. So that's it.
Okay. Thank you. So now at this time, we're going to be opening up the hearing. At this time, we're going to open the public hearing. Anybody wishing to step forward, please step to the podium. State your name and address for the record.
Mayor, if I may
Yes.
ask,
Yes, Mr. Leon.
this is the public hearing for the rezoning only, and we're going to hold that over until the special meeting, correct?
That's my understanding. Is that
So
correct?
this
Mr.
isn't
Attorney?
about special use. This is only about rezoning at this point. Thank you for clarifying.
Good evening, sir. Welcome.
My name is Will Udusky. 11 West Stonewood Drive here in beautiful Franklin, Wisconsin, 53132.
Is that on? Hold on a second.
Moment.
Sorry?
We're going to check something out here. Usually, no, I think the light just turned on green.
Test. I'll just move a little
Perfect.
closer. How about that?
Thank you, sir.
William Udusky, 7711 West Stonewood Drive here in Franklin. Mr. Mayor, Planning Commissioners, our roots here are not as deep as Karma Labs is, but we've been here for 16 years, and we now live basically across South 76th Street from the proposed development property. We're super excited about the continuing growth and commercial success of Karma Labs, and would also like to make sure that our quality of life is and the value of our home is really maintained throughout this process. And I have two specific areas of concern. The first is about traffic management, especially in regards to public safety and noise on South 76th Street. Already events at Croatian Park and Franklin Little League ball fields create safety issues for children and other pedestrians walking along the street and for cars exiting the Stonewood subdivision. And it's only really a matter of time before a serious accident occurs. The intersection at South 76th Street and Ryan Road is already too small to handle the existing traffic load and is in poor physical condition. Drivers routinely put lives at risk to make a left-hand turn from any direction at that intersection. Heavy truck traffic on South 76th Street and also on Highway 100 is clearly audible at all hours. The noise is already intrusive, and we can hear it indoors, even with the doors and windows shut. So without question, the additional traffic generated by the Karma Lab facility will exacerbate the safety and noise issues, and action needs to be taken to mitigate those problems. Improvements in walkability, for example, sidewalks, need to be made to the area surrounding Croatian Park and Franklin Little League. Road improvements need to be made at the entrances and exits along South 76th Street, as well as at the Highway 100 intersection. So for both safety and noise issues, I'd like to specifically request that large trucks be required to approach the Karma Labs facility from Highway 100 and not South 76th Street. I'd also like to request that the amended rezoning include a provision to include natural barriers to protect our neighborhood from noise. My second concern is about the environmental protection and enhancement. I would like very strong assurances that the development plan includes protections for the natural water features and the watershed to the Root River, especially in the prevention and containment of chemical fluids entering the water system. And I would like to request that Karma Labs employ best practices to preserve and enhance the natural areas like the remnants of the oak savanna that are adjacent to that property, and to select high-impact native plants for their landscaping. Just to reiterate, I am thrilled to support and encourage the continued growth of Karma Labs. But as a residential neighbor, I respectfully request that the impact of this industrial development on our quality of life and the value of our homes be proactively addressed. I have some additional comments about the special use application, but I'll save those for later.
Yes, sir, please.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak on this matter at this point? Please approach. Seeing none. Now, am I closing the hearing here? We're going to just keep it open. So
Continuing the public hearing till the special meeting of the Plan Commission next Tuesday, October 24th, to start at 5 o'clock.
Excellent.
So moved. Right, we need a,
Need a motion and administrative.
okay. I thought when we've carried
Well, then
over.
do a motion.
Okay, well, I moved, Commissioner Haley seconded.
got it. So we got a first and a second on that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Now we're going to we're going to go to the item C3. Is that correct? I just want
Mayor?
to make sure. Yes, sir, Mr. Leon.
Okay, so we didn't receive a staff presentation, but we did from the applicant. Are we able to ask questions of staff or the applicant since we are tabling the rest of the public hearing? Because I have questions and comments based on the one comment we have so far.
I believe so.
Mr. City Attorney?
Yes.
Okay.
Ask questions to the applicant?
Uh,
Because he can.
Probably staff. I mean, the applicant might have some questions, but I think my questions will be to engineering and to the city attorney.
All right, Mr. Leone, you've got the floor.
Okay, I will start with the first comment that the neighbor had about sidewalk and berms on that stretch of 76th Street south of the access road. I can't think of the name of the access road. This has come up many times on other agenda items, and I believe that, to paraphrase a bit, the comment was, if you build it, they will come. And basically that we need additional uses in this area to be able to get the county, who I think is responsible for that road, maybe it is
correct.
county,
Tyler?
thank you, to be able to put in the kind of things that the neighbor has. Is that accurate, or would
Yeah,
clarify?
so engineering is also going through a review of the proposal, and, one thing we're looking at is including sidewalk within the frontage of 76th Street on the Karma development. And if there's further development north of there, we would look to include the same so we can get some continuity with sidewalk and pathways throughout the city. So that is, definitely the intention to look to build sidewalk and include sidewalk in developments on 76th Street as they progress.
Thank you. Then the second question probably is to city attorney as well as the applicant, but there was a request in there that I don't know if we'd be able to meet that would limit traffic of trucks to only approaching from Highway 100. I mean, there are already heavy trucks on 76th Street. They are permitted. So I don't know, Mr. City Attorney, if you clarify that we would be able to limit that.
That's an engineering question.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
So I will say that the applicant is working, so this intersection of 76th and Ryan Road. Ryan Road is a Wisconsin State Highway. 76th Street is a Milwaukee County Highway. So they've been coordinating, and engineering is involved somewhat with some of the reviews, but it's primarily county and state doing a traffic impact analysis on this proposed development and their use. And the applicant, you guys could correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know that the Wisconsin DOT is going to allow access directly off of Ryan Road. And so the primary access will be off of 76th Street. I think in past developments, we have written conditions in where truck traffic can only enter from one direction, so they can only come from Ryan Road north on 76th Street. But that would be, I don't know where in the process with any agreements that would fall into. But.
Madam Director of Administration, you got something on this?
Okay, we had a meeting today with the owner of the property that R8 that we included in the TID, and they were agreeable to put the access road on Ryan Road over there and have it shared. So I don't know if that changes things or not, but that would be a potential access point.
Mary?
The subsequent item on this agenda is the certified survey map under business items, and the applicant is creating 2 new lots on the southern portion of the property. However, because of this restriction, there will be a requirement that cross-access easements be recorded. If there is a restriction about how trucks enter the site, that discussion should be directed to the site plan. Given the current proposed land division, access directly off of Ryan Road is not practicable. So Ryan Road is a state truck route, but that does mean that trucks also need to exit the route to get to their destinations on other surface roads. So the special use addresses the trucking aspect of this application. But in terms of the rezoning, this is a relevant question to be discussed, but you should be aware that other pieces of the application also touch on this, so.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Leone.
Yeah, thank you for indulging my question. I thought it was really a legal question whether or not we could restrict that, but thank you for clarifying that it'll come up during special use. So I'm good, thank you, because I can't be here on Tuesday.
One other thing.
Tyler?
Just to touch on one of the other concerns that was shared. So the intersection of 76 and Ryan Road. So Wisconsin DOT is going to have a reconstruction of that intersection in 2025, I believe. So they will be making intersection improvements, and they're working with, obviously, Karma and their own traffic impact studies to make sure everything's incorporated.
Thank you. Anyone else at this time? So now we are going to move on to C3. Is that the proper? Okay. C3, Karma special use, request for approval of a special use to allow for overnight truck parking as part of the development of the facility to be located at 9410 South 76th Street. Tax key 884-9997-000. Marion?
Thank you, Mayor. One moment while I get my public
Problem.
hearing notice up and running. Okay. The City of Franklin Plan Commission will hold a public hearing on Thursday, October 19th, 2023 at 6:00 p.m. in the Common Council Chambers at Franklin City Hall, 9229 West Loomis Road, Franklin, Wisconsin, to take public comments regarding a request by Alex Schler, I apologize, of Karma Laboratories, Inc., Karma Labs, Inc., property owner, for property located at, for property located, that is not the right public hearing.
9410?
Yeah. Sorry, the address is correct, but I am not on the right piece of information.
Got it.
There we go. For property located at 9410 South 76th Street and 7520 West Ryan Road, currently zoned R8 Multifamily Residence District and B3 Community District. This is an application for a special use for Karma Laboratories to allow for overnight truck parking as an accessory to M1 limited industrial uses. This public hearing is being held pursuant to the requirements and standards of 15-30701 General Standards for Special Uses, 15-30703 Detailed Standards for Special Uses in Non-Residential Districts, and 15-90103 Applications for Special Use Permit, the City of Franklin Unified Development Ordinance. A map showing the property affected, full legal description, and the application and all supporting materials are available for review and may be obtained from the City Council by way of request to the Department of City Development at Franklin City Hall, same address as above, during normal business hours. A copy of the proposed special use resolution in draft form is available and open for inspection by the public at the office of the city clerk at Franklin City Hall, same address, during normal business hours. The public is invited to attend the public hearing and to provide input. The proposed draft form resolution is subject to revision following the public hearing and further consideration by the Plan Commission and the City of Franklin Common Council. And so with regard to the actual applications question, so I will note that all of these applications must be subject to a conditional approval this evening. So we're going to be looking at the site plan later on in the agenda, but any recommendation would be conditioned on the rezoning because the standards of review for this under the UDO are under the M1 limited industrial zoning district. So to the extent that that is the nature of this development, it was reviewed against those requirements. And I will recommend that that condition be added to any motion to approve a resolution. So with regards to this project, the applicant has already given you a presentation broadly canvassing who Karma is. I'm going to take a little bit of time to address the scope and nature of the application under this special use. The special use is specific to a request for overnight truck parking, which is a requirement of the UDO regardless of the location of this business type. So in M1 or other business classified zoning districts, if the company owner wishes to park a truck over a certain size at that location, they must receive this type of special use approval. Their actual use, which is, I'm not going to remember the SIC code, but their actual use is an allowed use in the district proposed. So the special use.
It is an allowed use?
Correct.
Thank you.
This project involves what is currently 2 properties at the location we've discussed. And it also includes the the applicant's request for a tax increment district, which has been heard previously by this body. The total area for the application is 2 lots totaling 41.39 acres. Both parcels are currently vacant, although there are some pre-existing structures that have been removed. They are currently zoned R8 multifamily residence district and B3 community business district, neither of which allow for the applicant's use type. So this application is for what will be lot 1 of the CSM that's later on this agenda. So with regards to the special use, we've discussed generally the purpose of the special use, but there are some recommended additional conditions of approval. So I'm going to walk you through the overall site plan in broad terms now, and then when we come to that approval, there are some additional details. So there, you will note that there are duplicate conditions of approval on the special use and site plan application because of the fact that they affect the special use and site plan both. So the applicant is proposing to develop this lot, which is currently it's 2 existing lots. There are 3 lots proposed, and they will be occupying the northern lot. And the special use is applicable only to lot 1 of that certified survey map. Lots 2 and 3 will require separate permitting, which, as the commission is aware, a zoning compliance permit is all that is required for a permitted use, or a special use would be subject to common council approval through this body. So there is a overnight parking area that is proposed on the northeast corner of the lot. And my mouse is... So this would be the area where overnight parking is recommended. Immediately adjacent to this is the Croatian Park soccer facility, which is zoned park use. As a result, staff is recommending additional screening. So we have a number of recommended conditions, but that no portion of the overnight parking area for the site should be visible from a residential or park zoning district or a public right-of-way. And that significant screening should be provided. The applicant, we had a discussion about this and they are comfortable with that request, and it is reflected on the site plan approval as well, but it needs to be shown on the landscape plan provided. I will note there is, as part of the overall site design, a dedicated parking garage that you will see in the site plan materials that is located in the southwest corner of the property. This is a private parking garage for the property owners, so although it does fit in with the more industrial nature of the development, it is not for this purpose of overnight parking of trucks. However, I recommend, since that is a garage, that there be an additional condition that the parking garage, that no overnight parking should be permitted outside this area, which does face a residential zoning district, and also that it should be limited to loading and unloading uses related only to the office portion of the building. The applicant has provided the required responses to general standards for special uses. I note that there are other locations in the city where this business type would be allowed without necessitating rezoning. However, in all districts, this special use classification is required for this type of use. So it effectively is not specific to the zoning that it. So with that, there are other aspects of the site plan which we will touch on later, but staff is recommending approval of the special use subject to the conditions in the draft resolution.
Thank you. So now we're going to open the public hearing. Oh. Did you want to come up here and address any of that at this point or anything else, or do you want to go into just offering the applicant if you want to? Sure, I should have welcomed you up earlier, but we'll come back again. Again, you said to say your name and Karma's address again, please.
Alex Scheller, Karma Labs is at 5801 West Airways Avenue in Franklin, Wisconsin.
Thank you.
So specifically, I mean, the things that you have called out, we've kind of incrementally discussed. And we're in alignment with the additional screening, the conditions that you proposed. There are no concerns on the part of Karma.
Excellent.
Yeah, unless you had other specific questions for me.
No, we're going to open up the public hearing. It'll be after the public hearing.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay. At this time, I'm going to open a public hearing. Anyone wishing to come forward and speak, please state your name and address. Welcome back, sir, to the podium. Should still be on. I don't, is it?
Willie Dusky, 7711 West Stonewood Drive here in beautiful Franklin, 53132. My house is in that little upper left-hand corner that's gray. So
Could I just interrupt you for 1 second? Alex, would you please just come back up here and just stay here? Probably the rest of the night, maybe until tomorrow. That way it'll save you some walking and just chill out up here. Thank you. Again, I won't. All right, sir, thank you for your patience. Please continue.
Yeah, thank you. So in regards to the special use application for overnight truck parking, I have two concerns. I'll repeat the one I had before. Please, please, please come up with a way for the entrance to parking for both employees and trucks to be off of Ryan Road and not off of South 76th Street. And I'll speak engineer to engineer. Can we not be creative in how we do this? I don't know, what the legal ramifications are, but just looking at that map, those trucks are going to be taking over that part of South 76th Street, and it's going to be a disaster. It's going to be a traffic disaster. My other concern is this, that if the special use application allows for parking trucks with their engines running, then I strongly object. I would ask the commission to specifically exclude that provision from the application as both a public annoyance and a public health menace. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's see the public hearing. Anyone else wishing to approach during this open public hearing at this time, please step to the podium. Seeing none, close public hearing on this. Now we'll entertain questions from the Plan Commission. Mr. Leone, you are first.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you, Mr. Edesky, for bringing that up again. Some of the comments that I believe I heard the Director of Administration talk about with the proposed access road, I would think would change this significantly, correct?
Huge.
So if,
Kind of point to where the compass that was.
right, so what I'm getting at is mainly to Mr. Edesky's concerns about South 76th Street. I'm not an engineer. I do know a little bit about logistics and transportation, and I would think that you probably want to come from Ryan Road. It's the safety concerns of trucks making right turns onto making left turns rather onto Ryan Road. So, but what I gather from Ms. Hirsch's comments earlier is the city is working with the applicant and other agencies to try to get at what you're looking to avoid, truck traffic on 76th Street. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. That was my question.
Alderwoman Day.
Thank you. So my questions are going to be based on the information we have in front of us. If we can somehow work something out where, we come in from Ryan Road, great, we'd have a different conversation. But just going by what's in front of me and a little bit of the comments from tonight. So the trucks come in and they go to the docking bay that is identified up there by the arrow. What are you anticipating is the latest time that the trucks would be coming into park, and additionally, the earliest times they would be starting up in the morning? It's kind of goes to the noise concern that that neighborhood would have.
Yes, thank you. So the truck traffic is exclusively first shift, typically 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Okay.
Monday through Thursday, with Friday shipping activities only during our peak season, which really is about 4 months out of the year in the coldest months of the season.
So there's not going to be, beepings of trucks
shift.
backing in at, midnight or 2 in the morning or anything like that. Okay, thank you. And then my other question is, typically, I know this is a bigger facility maybe than you have right now for your shipping and docking base. How many trucks do you anticipate might be there on a given day that would have to sit overnight?
Right. So to clarify, it's really truck trailer parking.
Okay,
So without the engine.
Sure.
Right? So our logistics scheme is that those trailers are backed up against the shipping docks, which are on the right-hand side indicated by the arrow. We may have 6 or 8 trailers parked there that arrive empty. We load them in the morning. They are picked up and taken away, and empty trailers are bumped up against those docks again.
Okay.
So it is those empty trailers without the engine that remain overnight.
okay.
Yeah.
And then my last question, Ms. X touched on it a little bit during her presentation, but I just wanted to clarify with you. The portion that butts up against the Croatian soccer fields, she had mentioned that you were okay with extending some sort of barrier along that to block the park from.
Yes, agreed. I mean, we are very open to any kind of a landscaping suggestion that requires additional landscaping or barriers or protection in that way. That really honestly resonates with Karma Labs in our intention to beautify and even enhance the green space around the facility.
Great, thank you. Those are my questions.
Thank you.
I'll speak last if there's anyone else that wishes to make a comment on this. Okay, one of the things that we had some internal misinformation a few months back, just to clarify, that there are no loading docks along 76th Street.
There are no loading docks facing 76th
Correct.
Street. Correct. That is
All right.
correct.
I just want to
The
reiterate that we had a little internal misinformation that we wanted to clarify tonight.
Yes.
Again, I want to reiterate, so thank you.
The overhead garage doors that you do see in the plans are for automobiles. They're not loading docks.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions or comments? Sorry, yes.
About
Ms.
how
Hogan.
many employees are going to be at this facility?
300 in total. That's split between first shift and second shift. Second shift is about 60 or 70 of that 300.
And that runs till what time? Second shift?
Second shift runs till 1:30 in the morning.
Okay.
Commissioner Hogan, anything else?
No, thank you.
Okay. Anything else from anyone on the board? All right, now we are on this, if there's a motion, Marion?
A motion to recommend approval of a resolution imposing conditions and restrictions for the approval of a special use for overnight parking of vehicles exceeding 8,000 pounds, manufactured gross vehicle weight, as part of the development of a single-story building housing offices and manufacturing facilities, Karma Laboratories, upon property located at 9410 South 76th Street by Alex Schler, Scheller.
Thank you.
Karma Laboratories, Inc. applicant, Karma Laboratories, Inc. property owner, Scheller.
Just a question, conditional upon the action for C2. Mr. City Attorney, if you could help clarify.
Mr. City Attorney, shortly.
Condition on the approval of the related rezoning application.
Mr. Haley.
Does the motion include no overnight engine idling? I heard it's not going to be an issue, but we probably ought to have that in there.
Agreed. Is that,
No concerns.
okay, so
Not
that's,
an issue, but
we might as well add that to the motion, that there will also be no engine idling during that overnight parking time.
So moved.
Second.
We have got a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. See right there. All right. Thank you, Marion, for that. Now, we are going to move forward now to D, business matters. D1, Karma CSM, request for a 3-lot CSM to replat 2 existing lots located at 9410 South 76th Street, tax key number 884-9997-000 and 7520 West Ryan Road, tax key number 884-9998-000. Marion?
Okay, thank you, Mayor. So this is the same address. This request is to replat the existing 2 lots into 3 lots with a conditioned upon the approval of the rezoning application that is being carried over until Tuesday. So the applicant is proposing their development on Lot 1. The land division that is required is a certified survey map to create the 3 lots, with M1 zoning proposed on the northern lot and B3 on the 2 southern parcels of the property along Ryan Road that would then be reserved for future commercial use. There are no development proposals for those sites at this time. So Lot 1 is 34.168 acres. Lot 2 will be 3.555 acres, and Lot 3 will be 3.581 acres, and that encompasses the total of the property. The applicant is required to provide, under the ordinances related to land divisions, landscape buffer yards on property lines adjacent to parcels with different zoning. Draft easements have been provided, but staff has not reviewed them prior to this meeting. I hope to get to them so that they can be included with this item on the council agenda for the total item. So they are proposed, for example, along the northern property line to buffer between Karma and the park to the north. So due to restrictions by Milwaukee County Department of Transportation, there is that question of access that we have discussed. So currently the plating does not have, there are no dedications of roads, but we are recommending inclusion of cross-access easements on all of these property lines, because there is a possibility that regardless of what the adjoining property owner agrees to, these lots may not have access to Ryan Road at all, depending on how all of that plays out. So in the interest of preserving access to these sites, we are requiring cross-access, which would then potentially come off of 76th Street or however the configuration occurs. That easement is something that is privately recorded, but we do require that it be resolved prior to the recording of the certified survey map. There are a few technical corrections, and then there was a question about natural resource protection. The application this property does include an area of woodlands and a wetland. There are no impacts proposed to those features beyond what's allowed by the current Unified Development Ordinance. So the applicant is not impacting the wetland in any way. There are woodlands that will be impacted to a degree. However, it doesn't meet the standards to require a variance for that or a natural resource special exception. The preserved natural resources must then be contained within a conservation easement, which would protect them in perpetuity. And that easement, a draft has been provided and is again subject to review at Common Council. But in general, the goal is to preserve those wetlands and woodland features that are roughly located here on the property. With that, the application has a number of conditions of approval recommended, but they are generally the landscape buffer yard easements, conservation easements, and any technical corrections. I believe, was there a comment from the engineering department about their easements?
It's more of a technical,
Okay.
for the sanitary water main and the stormwater easements, since those aren't, the exact placement of them isn't completely finalized, I would just show the dashed lines on here without the bearings and distances, and then add the note, keep the note by separate document, and we can work through the final legal description once those are finalized.
Okay, so I recommend including the draft condition regarding the rezoning in a motion, but otherwise the recommended conditions of approval are in the resolution.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to ask the gentleman from Karma, who hasn't left, would you like to add anything to that or comment on that before we go into staff comments? Or, excuse me, to plan commissioners?
Nothing
comments?
to add unless there are specific questions.
Okay, anyone up here? Mr. Haley?
Hands raised. This is probably for engineering or the applicant. Sheet 3 of 7 of the CSM, we're showing municipal stormwater pond easements to the city of Franklin. Is the city of Franklin going to be maintaining these stormwater ponds, or is this just in the event that they fail to maintain them, that the city can go in and
Correct.
create
Yep.
access.
So we are required by Milwaukee Metropolitan Sewage District and then Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources to have a maintenance agreement with, that allows the city to, in the event of an emergency or in the event of neglect by the property owner, for the city to step in and perform maintenance.
The intention is that the applicant does all of the maintenance.
Correct.
except
So
in
we-
these unusual situations.
Yep, and we will have a separate maintenance agreement that goes along with the stormwater access easement to, that's signed between the property owner and the city and gets recorded with the county.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak on this matter at this time? Seeing none, Mary, would you read the motion?
A motion to recommend approval of a resolution conditionally approving a 3-lot certified survey map being a redivision of all of the west 1/2 of the southwest 1/4 of Section 22, Township 5 North, Range 21 East, City of Franklin, Milwaukee County, Wisconsin, and also including the north 120 feet of the south 180 feet of the east 200 feet of the west 260 feet of the southwest 1/4 of Section 22 in Township 5 North, Range 21 East, City of Franklin, Milwaukee County, Wisconsin, by Alex
Here you go.
Scheller.
Cheller, Karma Laboratories, Inc., applicant, Karma Laboratories property owner.
So moved.
Second.
We've got a first and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Well done, Marion.
We'll get through
We're
that.
going on to item D as in David, number 2. Karma Site Plan, request for approval of an approximately 195,000 square foot manufacturing space and 30,000 square foot office to be located at 9410 South 76th Street, tax key number 884-9997-000. Marion.
Thank you, Mayor. Now to the details of the site itself. So the applicant has already described the project. However, I will get into a little bit more detail of what is being proposed. So this building is intended to be both a manufacturing site and the headquarters office of Karma Laboratories, Inc. And so the front portion of the building will be an office area, and the back is the manufacturing and laboratory area. The building is sited so that it makes use of the slope of the site. So this site does slope downwards towards Ryan Avenue. And in designing the building, the applicants have taken into consideration that slope and treated Ryan Road as the primary facade of this building. Our ordinance does not have facade-specific architectural requirements. However, it is important to think about what is surrounding the building. And the UDO does require that a development be aesthetically compatible with their surroundings. So that is something that is within the purview of this commission to determine whether the architecture does rise to that level. I will note that the applicant has made some efforts. There was discussion of misinformation or confusion about one of the elements of the facade facing 76th Street. And so they have taken some effort to improve this facade and add some detail and interest to it. There have been efforts related to landscaping, et cetera. So I want to kind of do the easy stuff first. The landscaping provided is adequate for the quantity of parking, so it meets the requirements of the UDO related to what is required. There is a waiver that we'll discuss in a moment. And generally, it complies with the standards of the UDO related to lighting, to natural resource protection, to the landscape ratio, to the types of plants and location of planting, et cetera. So the proposed development, however, let's kind of walk through this site, and then the applicant may have additional comments. So, this is the north of the property. Croatian Park shares a property line with the property. The House of Corrections and Milwaukee County are located on the eastern portion of the property line. There is what will be an R8 zoned development, currently a single family home on this corner. The future business lots here, and then residential zoning across the street from this. So north is this way, south is this way. Office area parking for employees, so cars, not trucks. This is the office area for the owners of the business, and they will have a private entrance separate from the employee entrance. And then truck parking and access is on the north end of the property. There is a fire lane, and generally this application has taken into account those kinds of comments that other departments have provided, but it's something to note. So this site is laid out in this way. We have 2 stormwater ponds. The UDO addresses those through engineering's requirements. So let's see. We did have the discussion about landscaping. A buffer yard is required on the property lines that are adjacent to properties with different zoning. So this area of the landscape plan will need additional plantings. The current draft in your packet doesn't show those, but as we've already discussed, that is amenable to the applicant. And then this area is the area where the special use that you just recommended approval of would not allow for overnight parking, and otherwise be mindful of its level of visibility, as this is essentially the primary entrance to the site. So the southern elevation, again, so this is that elevation that is facing Ryan Road at the top of a hill. So there will be those new lots between this and Ryan Road, but it's looking down the hill. So this elevation is the office elevation with the private entrance here and employee entrance here. So there is a proposed patio out here that will look down the hill as well. And generally speaking, for the zoning district, again, there are no specific architectural requirements in the UDO related to this. This is fairly typical industrial architecture. The north elevation is considered sort of the back of the building, although it is on a side yard. So this is what would be facing Croatian Park. This is the location of the proposed overnight parking. There is actually a portion of the building that steps out here, so it will be screened by that, but then the landscape screening would need to be to the north. There are additional loading docks here, but overnight parking was not requested for that area. So then we come to the east elevation. So this is facing the county lands to the east. This is the employee patio and entrance area and the eastern facade of the building. And then this western elevation is the elevation that is up for discussion. So the applicant has taken a lot of steps to improve the architecture along this facade by adding differences in paneling, et cetera. But I note that I'm going to look at the details here. So this is what it looks like from the south and what it looks like from 76th Street. Let me move that. So these are private garages for the owners. So that primary facade, which is part of the office use, does face the parking lot to the south and not 76th Street. So this facade is going to be facing landscaping, but then also residential uses across the street. So across the street from this site is zoned R5 currently, although those lots are, there are a number of single family homes there, but not a large subdivision immediately across, but nearby there are residential homes. So there are a number of options. What has been proposed does meet the requirements of the UDO, but again, the commission does have the ability to suggest or recommend or require changes to the site plan. So some of those suggestions include changing the orientation of the building, changing the location of truck entrances, et cetera. I will also note that the proposed development does require a waiver for parking. So the proposed amount of parking does not meet the requirements of the UDO. However, given the staffing requirements of the business, they don't need the amount of parking that would be required. And so they have provided sufficient evidence to request a reduction of that requirement from Plan Commission, so you can grant that waiver, and that is in the draft resolution. And then I will note that there are a number of areas that are reserved for future development. Those would require a site plan amendment, but generally speaking, they are here to the north of the building and then off of the eastern facade of the building as well. So I'm sure the applicant will have lots of comments to add. But in general, our recommended conditions of approval, with the exception of the requirement that the M1 zoning be part of the approval, are included in the draft resolution.
Thank you. Let the record reflect that 7:15, Commissioner Leone has vacated his seat for the evening, I think. Before we entertain questions, do you have any comments, sir, on this at this point?
I think that's a very excellent overview. I have no additional comments unless
Okay.
there are specific questions.
I'm sure there will be. Alderwoman Day.
Yeah, I will start. So I just have a few questions.
Sure.
So with regard to the parking, I know that when we spoke initially a few months back, when I had the tour of your current facility, and we were talking about staffing levels, and you're right now looking to just basically move your current staff over, but
Yes.
there was thought that perhaps in the future down the road, because this facility was much bigger than what you currently have, that there could be a point where you increase staff. And I just want to make sure that with the parking that we're talking about, that you're having a reduction in spaces because of your current staff, that we're not going to reduce it too much, that once you expand, you would be out of compliance for more staffing and not have the parking you need.
Yeah, that's a great question. So a portion of our workforce is in hybrid mode and continues to work in that mode. So the total workforce is not there, although manufacturing and distribution are present. The front office space flexes in terms of the number of people that are on site. But more so, we see a lot of our expansion taking place. We run a full first shift and we run a partial second shift. So if we want to utilize existing equipment and maximize that utilization of that equipment, rather than growing first shift by adding machines, it's more make better use of the machines that exist and expand second shift, possibly even third shift.
Okay.
So the existing parking is in good shape to accommodate that growth plan. And not represented here, though, there is always well, maybe it is, I guess it's in the dotted lines. There is the ability to potentially add another tier of parking, but we don't foresee needing that in the foreseeable future because of the way we're intending to expand.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And then my next question, with regard to your second shift, you had alluded to most of the time that shift ends around 1:30 a.m. And then looking at the map of where the staff parking is coming out onto 76th Street and looking at the facade in that area, my concern is a little bit about light in that area at that time of night for parking lots and whatnot. And I haven't seen anything yet, or maybe I missed it in the packet, about lighting and just making sure that there's not any undue light pollution that's bleeding over into the neighborhood, and how you're kind of reconciling that, especially if that other side of 76 develops into a residential neighborhood.
Great. Yes, thank you. Great question. I'll have to defer to one of my colleagues, actually, for a specific answer. On lighting? On lighting? Yeah. Parking lot lighting?
Yeah, if somebody would like to, unfortunately, come back up here,
Yeah.
we have a plethora of new chairs here, so. But we know we got plenty of chairs.
He wants to.
Matt Mano, Stephen Price with our SBS Architects, 215 North Water Street. Architects, we designed the photometric plan to have a 0-foot candle at the property line.
Could you say that one more time, a little slower for the novices like myself?
Sorry. The photometric plan was designed to have 0-foot candles at the property line. So we have taken that into the design consideration from our.
So good. So those novices like myself, what you just said is there should be no light going past the property line.
Correct, yes.
Thank you.
Measurable, yes.
Measurable, Mr. Haley.
Agreed, that's the photometrics, that's the parking lots, but I think one of the issues, the concerns is cars coming and going and those headlights. That's not accounted for in the photometrics.
Good catch.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, so that was the second part of my question, was, kind of with where that driveway is and cars coming out, just kind of keeping that in mind at that time of night and what the development would look like on the other side of the street. And maybe that's a little bit on the city staff side when we consider the development over there and how things are laid out. But I think it's just something to keep in mind at that time of night with cars coming out. And then my final question, and I'll admit I am a novice up here, so I don't even know if what I'm asking is something that can be done. With regard to the west facade, I think the building, for the most part, looks great for what it is. We're not looking for something that's going to be an architectural digest as, this fancy structure. But my question is, I'm wondering if maybe instead of, trying to do more things to the building, is it possible to just fancy up the landscaping on that side just to make it more aesthetically pleasing as someone's driving by, that they're not just looking at a big gray and yellow wall, that there's, trees or happy bushes or something. That would be my recommendation, rather than trying to turn the building or change the building, or maybe just put in some happy trees.
Yeah,
I agree with happy.
yeah, what I would,
More happy.
Yes.
yeah, what I would say is as an ownership group, they were very cognizant of being next to residential. So if you look at the site plan, landscape plan more specifically, there is a significant amount of trees along 76th Street to try and buffer the building from the residential. So we actually did send over to staff some of the renderings from 76th Street looking at that building. And what you'll see is that that was one of the things we wanted to address when we had the neighborhood meeting to show them that we were trying to buffer their houses from that. So
Yeah, great.
We do have some of those images actually in our original Karma presentation, if you'd like to see those. Yeah, further down. Let's keep advancing. Something like that.
Yeah,
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 if that gives you,
exactly, yeah.
That's real
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah, that's
look
happy.
pretty
I'm telling
happy.
you, he's happy.
And even this, I think this is good to point out, the view of or the lack of the view of the loading docks,
Yep.
right? Due to the landscaping and the building coming out, and you can't even really see the shipping docks on the far end of the building from this view anyway.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you for
Yeah.
taking all of our, questions and concerns into account and, being
Right.
accommodating to the concerns that we've had.
Thank you.
Get it?
Yeah, thank you. We
Commissioner Haley?
appreciate the feedback, truly. Yeah,
Everything I'm seeing, I'm liking.
yes,
Got one crushing feeling, though.
yes.
We've talked about several things that need to change between now and then. Possible entrance off of Ryan Road.
Yes.
Reconfiguring the site. We're the ones that approved the site plan.
Mhm.
I have no idea what that site plan is going to look like. I can see everything you've got here. It makes sense. It's a good plan. But I'm also sensing that several things are going to change, which puts you back here repeatedly asking for amendments to the site plan at cost and time. Is there a way that we can get a better handle on some of these questions by Tuesday or some other point? How critical is it now that you have the site plan approval? If everything stays the same, you've got a great plan. But if you start shifting stuff around, given the natural resources, this joint access on the south end, the whole plan basically goes out the window. I mean, so.
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, we certainly want to advance the project. We want to continue, break ground before the cold winter months where the escalation of winter conditions from a cost standpoint, occur. So
Understood. My points are, if
I don't
you're
know
going
the
to be making
finer-
changes,
yeah.
then you'll be back here waiting in the queue before you can do any construction.
It's a
So
great
there's
point.
some way that we can push this ahead and come in with the real site plan.
It's a great point. I don't know the finer details of the process.
it's out of our control.
It's fairly extensive, right?
Marion, anything?
Site plan amendments?
If the site plan approval is to include the changes to site access, et cetera, then yes, it would be substantial enough that it would require a site plan amendment at a future date. So, I mean, the item before you this evening is the site plan that is being presented at this time. So you could make it a conditional approval, or they could come back for that amendment in a future date.
So I guess if we could review the points that are considered for changing, the landscaping points that were addressed, I mean, certainly those changes are fast and easy to make. Access changes, Karma Labs is aligned with the current access that's provided on 76th Street. That would be a substantial change.
Yes.
Agreed.
Our conversations with the state of Wisconsin on providing access off of Ryan Road have not been fruitful to date.
And understood. They can be difficult, but they do have say over it. But I'm going to guess that there are some residual access rights to those existing 2 lots.
Yeah, so that's a distinction. I mean, access to those 2 lots, yes. Access from Ryan Road all the way up to our facility, I guess that's a different, that's kind of a different point.
Again, I don't want to redesign this for you.
Yeah,
I would love to approve it. I'm not comfortable approving a site plan that has a 90% chance of changing.
in my mind, it does not. The access that we're requesting is as shown.
It's not just the access. We talked about all of the easements and that they may need to be flexible.
The easements do need to be flexible because to Tyler's point, some of those details have not been.
This is my concern. I've been doing this for 17 years. We approve a site plan and now you're back here 3 months trying to get us to move quickly because you're facing the weather.
I appreciate your concern, but I guess on that particular point from engineering, what you described, Tyler, sounded ordinary and customary to add an attachment saying, okay, here are the final details. I don't know if that takes it all the way to the level of what you're saying in terms of a complete review. And that's where I'm not familiar with the details.
There's a
I
difference.
don't know what to suggest.
The certified survey map,
Yeah,
that's what you needed. That's what creates the parcels and moves things around. But the site plan
yeah,
is everything else you're doing with it.
sure.
And as much as I like what I see, I'm not convinced that it's in our best interest to move forward and approve that site plan until some of these questions are addressed.
Tyler, what do you have on that?
Well, I guess in respect to the easements, yeah, I would say that's not in every development, but pretty standard for large developments that those easements don't get finalized even until post-construction or during construction. Particularly with water main, sometimes there are minor changes out in the field where we want to make sure that if there's a change that the water main doesn't jog outside of the already drafted easement. So the easements aren't, I guess from engineering perspective, are not a concern.
And I'm not saying that they are, but putting in a new entrance, routing it from the south, those are the things that will make significant changes to your site plan and your operations.
They are, but Karma Labs is not proposing to do that.
Okay. Didn't we have a whole bunch of discussion here about trying to get access from the south, potentially sharing that?
For the 2 parcels at the south for future development,
There
but
was
not
discussion about joint.
not disrupting the current
So
facility plan.
we have no intentions of revisiting your access off of Ryan Road,
My
76th Street at these 2 locations.
my perspective is that the access to that main manufacturing is as shown and as presented tonight.
I don't know how to respond. It was Commissioner Leone's concern, but access, the public spoke.
I mean, maybe I misunderstood when the comment was made joint access. I was thinking joint access with that property owner that's at the south to also allow access to those lower 2 sites. It never triggered in my mind all the way up to the facility, but
And again, I don't want to get into the
yeah,
skin and bones of it. It's just, if something changes, the way your site is, the natural resource protections, all of those things have already been engineered and designed, and you'll
They
be
have.
back here changing that potentially,
what we're asking you to approve is as shown.
as shown. And you fully understand that any changes, deviations from there, you'll be back here looking for site plan amendments.
I understand.
I'll remind you at the time.
Thank you.
That's fair. Are we looking to entertain a motion right now on this? On D2?
I have a motion prepared if someone would like to make one. Okay, motion to adopt a resolution approving a site plan for the development of a single-story building housing offices and manufacturing facilities, Karma Laboratories, upon property located at 9410 South 76th Street by Alex Scheller,
Thank you.
Karma Laboratories, Inc., applicant, Karma Laboratories, Inc., property owner.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
We have a first and a second. See no further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, ayes have it, motion carries. Thank you, Marion, well done. Moving up to item D as in David 3, Cape Crossing sign review. Request to allow for a subdivision monument sign upon property located at 12200 West Ryan Road. Is the applicant here? Are you the applicant, sir?
Yes.
Could you please, gentlemen, have a good night, thank you. Do you have anybody else with you tonight for this, or are you rolling solo?
It is just me.
Okay, very good. Let's see here. Mary, was that this, when you're ready, you can start. Yeah, ready?
Ms. Kissel will be presenting this item.
Oh, excellent. You have the floor when you're ready.
Having computer issues. Thanks, everyone, for your patience.
Ooh, that's nice. Oh, I don't think you're live.
Hit the button. There we go. Is that good? Okay. So this is a sign review request. We're requesting Plan Commission approval of a new subdivision sign for the Cape Crossing subdivision on the southwest area of Franklin, and it's located in PDD 40. That is a depiction of the sign. All right. The proposed sign has a face area of 40 square feet and will be located on the west side of the subdivision entrance. So there's the layout of the subdivision, and then zoomed in, it's on the west side there in that little like landscaped area. The sign complies with all applicable sections of the PDD ordinance, and we recommend approval, subject to the conditions in the resolution.
So you recommend approval?
Yes.
All right, sir, you got the floor. Any comments on that?
No comments.
Could you state your name and address of the company for the record, please?
Sure. Ryan Fritsch with Newman Developments, N27W24025, Paul Court, Pewaukee, 53072.
Thank you and welcome. And do you have any comments on what's being presented at this point?
Just that we think this is going to be a strong identity for the community and a good recognizable feature for future homeowners. We're thrilled about this design. It's a new one for us. It complies with all ordinances in terms of sizing, and we're excited to get it built.
Yeah, that was my next question. When do you think this will be coming up? I mean, something for spring or?
Yeah, we would try and sneak in a foundation this fall still, and then allow some of the vertical construction to occur throughout the winter. But the intent would be to have it complete by mid-spring.
Completed project by mid-spring.
Correct.
Commissioner Haley.
Couple quick questions for you. It's a single-sided sign, correct?
Correct.
Why are we orienting it 45 degrees to the street when you've got traffic directions? Traffic coming from the west to the east is going to see the backside of the sign until they're past your development.
Correct. I think as you drive in on the boulevard, at that point you can kind of see it oriented that way.
Our traffic on Ryan. You want visibility. It's been skewed at 45, favoring vehicles moving west on Ryan Road. They see that. In the east, they're going to see the backside of the sign. They're past it. I'm telling you what to do, but it seems like it would make more, if it's a one-sided sign, then parallel to the street. Sided, then you put it perpendicular. But it's your marketing, it's your world.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me, and I've been in site planning for a long time, but.
Yeah, we were pretty comfortable with it facing east. I think the majority of traffic would be coming from Loomis and Ryan westbound. The original proposal had it within the boulevards. That would be two-sided. We felt on the west side, though, 45-degree angle captures the bulk of traffic.
Westbound traffic.
Westbound, correct.
Right,
Correct.
because it faces southeast.
Correct.
But that's my only point. No one's going to see that sign once they passed it moving eastbound. It's in their rearview mirror.
If I may, their original proposal did have it perpendicular to Ryan.
I saw that.
Yeah, but, okay, and then,
So we got them to move it for site visibility triangles and setback distances, but is it not doable to run it parallel to the street?
Yeah, we're more comfortable with it at a 45-degree angle. It's, yeah.
It's
Mhm.
project.
You still have the floor, sir.
I have no further comments.
Okay, anyone else up here have anything?
No.
And, okay, so with that, is there a motion? Marion?
A motion to adopt a resolution approving a monument sign for the Cape Crossing subdivision in the planned development district number 40, 12200 West Ryan Road, Ryan Fritsch, Newman Development, Inc., applicant.
Motion to approve.
We have a first
Second.
and a second. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries.
Thank you much.
Thank you for coming tonight.
Move adjournment?
We have a motion to
Second.
adjourn and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. We are adjourned at 7:35 PM.
Do we